Live. End of the day, Chris Varley doing late day Q&A for trade ideas. Open forum, open content. So please, fire away the questions. Of course, as always, I will try to make up some content and keep it moving. All right, see a few people starting to pile in here. Give everybody a second to get in, get ourselves ready, organized. I know there's a few people I talked throughout the day via our different support chats. So if those people are here, please fire away your questions. I know someone wanted to work on excluding stocks from different scans. And I am aware there's a banner here that was not here yesterday. I'm not exactly sure how to get rid of that. I'm trying to figure out now. So kind of scrolling through here, the software, see if I can figure that out. So, all right. I don't see any comments coming in. So hopefully those that I talked to earlier in the day that are looking for a little help on some different items that we were going over. Hopefully they'll be popping in here soon, firing away with their questions. Until then, let's dive in Holly a little bit here. So last few times that we started, I started with the ugly. So today, let's start with the good. It's always nice. She had a pretty great day so far, to be honest. And it was a day that kind of turned around for her, too. She was up conservative most of the day. But moderate has really turned around at the end here, too. So, and I don't discuss aggressive profit because it's just trading without a stop, which is not trading. So, let's dive right into RGP. We're looking at oil and gas, I believe. Resources. Maybe that wasn't the one I was looking at earlier. All right. All the same, RGP got the gap and go alert here. It's a breakout long, 951. Entrances at 1814. I was looking at this early. I wanted to get it. There was a bit of a spread in it early. Started off at about 10-cent spread, moved up to about 40 cents. It's well closed down since then. So we get the alert here on this candle. And it's a pretty steady climb after that alert, to be honest. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15-minute candles in a row before we hit the skids for a little bit here. Buyers and sellers become even. And at the end of the day, we're peeling up a few cents here on that spread. It's an open trade still, no exit time here. So it will be shutting down probably, I believe at 3:45 is what time exit's going to be on that trade. Nice move there. And what you see here for moderate profit, 204.91. That's based on risking $100 per trade on this stop loss there. And so that would have got me a share size of 187 shares. And again, open forum. So if anybody has any questions here, feel free to interrupt, and we can get rid of that. I'm going to bring someone in here to help me get rid of those banners, hopefully. And we'll see if we can clear that up for us. So, all right, let's move right along here down the list on Holly's winners. We had TPTX doing it from the short side. So it's, always feels good when you have some up and down days with Holly that you can find her here long and short winners, and both pretty heavy winners too. So, looking at TPGX with the gap down and go, if you will. All right, she makes the entry here at about 11 o'clock. It looks like on here, yeah. So at 10:59, almost nailed it. TPTX 5201, and we're now at 43. The way this stop worked, though, it would have had you share sizing really small. We're looking at 20 shares, risking $100. Not a bad risk though reward ratio here. We're at 162 right now. If we were risking $100 per share. So, all right, I think my excellent tech man has gotten us all set. We got rid of that banner. Now you can see my screen a little better. That daily chart looking a little better there too. So, again, we do this as an open forum, so please fire away the questions. It always makes the time go a little faster for all of us. We're learning and growing, and everybody's asking questions. Head back into this alert a little bit more though. So we get the alert right here, and buyers and sellers are pretty much even here. And we toe the line, if you will, on the entry at 5201 before we get a nice release. And really, I mean, hard to find a prettier chart on a 15-minute like that. Under pressure all day long. Looking at an 8 EMA, we wanted to use a 10 SMA. I know those fast lines both are really great for intraday, keeping that momentum, finding that momentum, and just an absolute painless trade on that the whole day. And to Holly's credit, we had an update on the market, massive gap up. All right. And so this could have been one of those ones that gapped down and then had reversed on us easily with what the SPY did today. And we can see the SPY fading here. So it's probably even helping our cause here on this trade at the end. All right. So, but that makes it a little more impressive, the fact that Holly was able to call that short on a gap up and on a day where we really held that line. That was an important line on the SPY. We'll dive back into that in a little bit here if we continue to not have any questions coming in. You all force me to just ramble on. So again, TPTX, very nice short, pullback short. Excellent, excellent call from Holly on that one. Move right down the line. Jump here to one that's a little different look here for us. And so we'll look at ARNA. We get the alert here. It's a long on support. She's calling it 58.87. We're sitting at 59.32 here. And so the moderate profit right now is at $48. If we were risking $100 on the trade based on their stop, it would give us a 109 share lot. However, we had a max profit of, whoops, we're shuffling up and down. We had a max profit here of 144. And we can see this is going back and forth on me now here, AMED. Excuse me, ARNA right there, going back and forth on me as we come into the close. All right, we had a max profit of 115 on that though. All right. So, Holly back here after making the call on support, and that looks like it was a perfect support call actually. She gets in the money. All right. So it was a down candle. She bottom ticks, as a matter of fact. We move up, we stay up, and she kind of buyers and sellers stay even for a little bit here, giving you plenty of time to have taken some of those cookies off that table at that higher max profit number here. Instead of at the end of the day, we can see that as this curls down, that's going to coincide as we just went over with what the SPY was doing here. All right. So bring that back over again. And as we can see that the SPY has started to move down, this has started to move down with it as well. All right. So knowing your market, putting that whole puzzle together would have saved you a little spread on that trade. So those are the few of the winners, how they went from Holly. Let's take a look at the bottom of the list. Impressively enough, no stop outs for her today. This becomes a losing trade on the day. So we're looking at GRMO. She makes an early entrance on this, 942. Go click that to stay up there. All right. She makes that early entrance at 942 on this candle here, that first 15-minute candle. And it was a short. And she was in the money very shortly here. All right. The entrance, there's our line for the entrance, that blue line. So she was in the money here, in the money here. So you had about half an hour to figure out if that trade was working for you. And if you're paying attention to what your chart's doing here, we can see that is a clear red bar ignore. She got out for a profit save, and hopefully you would have too, managing that trade, knowing that that was working right against you, holding the two SMA and EMAs here, and really showing some strength on that. So uh, the good, the bad, and the ugly from Holly. So she had the winners from the long side, winners from the short side, losers from the short side as well right there. And let's take one more look at one more. Holly was in some pain here. So TPTX, she had a double call on it. So she nailed it on the short for pullback short. On the snapback long of it, though, not so much. All right. So she enters that at 941 on this first candle here. And it really never got going for her. It was a gap down, as we mentioned before, and a go, which is a steady release all day long. And so she didn't get stopped out. She hit it for a, well, she's claiming a profit save here and conservative. Let's take a look at that conservative exit. So that exit price, 53.42. So she actually nailed it right on the entrance price. And that is the good, bad, and the ugly from Holly at the moment here. See only 10 viewers in here, so we'll keep this short as far as that goes. And it's a live Q&A, so like I said, feel free, chime in, jump in, please join, ask questions, fire away. Whether it's the software, we could take a look at some charts, we could discuss some sectors. We can discuss what other things I have going on my screen if you like. And take a pause here, let any questions flow in while I take a sip of water. All right, so no questions still coming in. Why don't we dive around here and we'll look at some of the major indexes, see how that's all kind of looking today. So we'll start with the old SPY. And drew this line a while ago. Seems to be a pretty significant line. And as far as I'm concerned today, we're getting not only a whoopsie on that pivot line, we're also getting rejected at the 50 SMA here too. We came nearly tagged that 50 SMA and rejected. So we're pinched now. We got the 20 SMA here, the 50 SMA here, and we're sitting right in between the two of those. So while the bulls want to put a feather in their cap for getting a gap up and holding it essentially for the day, and it does not look like we'll roll over too hard into the close here, the bears have held some territory. They've held some ground that they've covered already. And, the saying goes, don't short in the hole. So you got to wonder if anybody started to get short anywhere in here. Are they starting to cover in here somewhere and giving us that move up? Or is that the bulls just coming in and the buy the dip crowd? Tomorrow, obviously, give us a much bellwether of that, a much better bellwether of that. Jobs report, things like that are going to come out. I try not to pay attention to too much of that noise, but you can't help but notice some of it. I want to keep it to just the charts. But again, I maintain that the longer we stay below this line, the more bearish things look. And certainly the bulls want to see a gap up above this line as far as the SPY goes. But it's always still worth noting that the SPY, it's tech heavy. All right. So if we want to see the S&P 500 and evenly weighted, we can look at the RSP. All right. And that's the same set of stocks, the same 500 stocks, only now we're looking at them even weighted, and a lot of similarities, just less off the all-time high here on the RSP since we didn't roll over as hard due to the lighter weighting of the tech stocks in that. So again, same kind of concept here. I think, hello, my friend. I'm glad you made it. I saw you got my email earlier today. Thanks for jumping in here. And as I said, it's open forum. So please fire away if you got any questions here, anything you want demonstrated or want to discuss. Until then, I just kind of fill the content with whatever I can make up along the way here and keep it interesting. So this would be that line that I'd say kind of represents what we were just looking at in the SPY, only this is much healthier looking on the RSP. We gapped up over that. We've held it, and while we start to bleed away today, it's not as much of a bleed down. Um, and we're further above that 20 SMA. We poked above the 50 SMA. If we were to get a couple of candles moving up here, 50-minute candles moving up here at the end, we might even get a close on or above that 50 SMA. And we can see now we hit 345 on the day. So Holly's basically exiting everything else that she hasn't exited already. So that's where the RSP is. The RSP looks like a little bit more of a win for the bulls. Qs, dive into those. Here we go. And I'd say the bulls and bears get a wash here again. Better zoom in with these as there's more damage done on the Qs than in the spies, and obviously the RSP then. We're running right up to the 20 and rejected there, so we couldn't even make it to the 50 today on that. Got the ADMA starting to curl up, so does that show some momentum? I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, the bulls, they don't want to fill this gap. The bears want to bring it back down into that gap. Bulls want to keep it. And fighting with my drawing tool a little bit here. There we go. Look at the Dow. So looking at Dow, we look at the diamonds to do that. All right, there, Fee. Yeah, and if any questions come up along the way, please fire them away at me. All right, that's what I'm here for. This is a new thing. We're less than 2 weeks into this. I still have some kinks to work out. We might do some adjusting on how we're doing this. Tomorrow, I'll probably have Steve Gomez join me for a little bit here. Let him do a little market recap around 4 o'clock, and then head back into Q&A. Try to change some things up, keep it moving, keep it interesting for everybody. So again, the diamonds. The Dow, it's not quite as tech heavy. I'd say bears get a bigger, or excuse me, the bulls get a bigger win here. This looks similar to the RSP actually. We're holding above that 20 SMA now, gapped up above it. We're holding above it. We've run into the 50 SMA. I don't think we'll get a big rip into the close today. It doesn't seem to be like that. There's a lot of data that needs to come out in the next few days, and these are more of a macro type of environment for these stocks. So that's what we're looking at. But again, I'd say, if we're looking at those four different indexes, the SPY, the diamonds, the Qs, and the RSP, I would say that the bulls are getting 3 out of 4 of those right now into their favor. And so we'll just have to see. I will say also this, that while we're not in any sort of a bear market, a lot of range for a very long time now here. For almost a whole year, we're stuck in a range. We poked up above it for a little bit, but could not hold that. We towed back down under that. So getting a gap up like today, not holding it tomorrow will be a big, big, big deal. And while today we can slightly give the edge to the bulls today, I would say that if the bears were able to take these all back down tomorrow, that would beyond erase what was done today. And that would be a lot more psychological damage to the dip buyers, so on and so forth. So that's my 2 cents on the market as far as that goes right now. Let's take a look at any for you. I know this is one of those high flyers and all those things like that. Super liquid stock. I'm long term very bullish anything that says data and stuff like that. Data is the new gold. Those who control the data control the world, it seems like. Things that I like about the daily chart and things I don't like about the daily chart. Let's start with what I like. We made this beautiful base down here, and then we built on it. So we cup and handled it here. All right. And then we came back down and tested that part of the cup and handle, and we held it. Then we built on it again. And now it looks like we're building on it again. And this line that's back here, I traded this actually in like 2008, fall 2018. It was something I covered a few weeks ago. So this line that I have here, I believe, is from back then. As a matter of fact, that's how long this line goes back. And we can see it was a significant line there. And we see the price action has been kind of a magnet for it here. And now we're holding over it. So as far as the chart itself goes, I'll maintain what I do with a lot of pivot lines. The longer we're above that line, we're headed that way. The longer we stay on this line or below it, we're headed back down that way on that line. So I would say that if we get back below this line, I wouldn't expect it to do anything but come back or go back to where it came from. That's my kind of 2 cents on any. The issue with the stock like this is they seem to be one of those that use and that gives them these big moves like this, and not so much that it's a viable stock or company. And I think that's the issue that you get down to with this and why it makes a great trading tool, maybe not a great long term hold tool. But again, I look at it only as looking at charts. So I have no idea what the news was that caused this, but I have to believe it was a news event. The same thing for this gap up, the same thing for this. This was all probably news driven in some way. And we all know what the news can mean. They could slice and dice headlines any way they want. The last thing that I'll mention, the things that I don't like, is you're going to have people that bought this up here. All right. And so you have supply up here, your demand is down here. Okay. And so at what point does all this supply get dropped into the demand and that supply is exhausted and the demand starts to move the price of the stock back up? So those are the questions I ask myself when I'm looking at a chart like that. Um, I would like to say that maybe that supply is becoming exhausted at this point. We've got a month since then, and you've got the rejection here, and you've got a couple of days of distribution that are happening here. Um, but that's what I'm looking at. That's my thoughts. Anybody that knows me knows how much I love these patterns. And again, I'm no CMT. I'm very biased to those patterns, so I probably see them more often than other people do. I probably see them when they're not there. And as I always mention, yes, does it hurt me? Of course. But seeing those patterns has helped me much more than it's hurt me. So that's my 2 cents there on that. Still no other real questions coming in. So please, again, open forum. I love when the questions come in. I love to demonstrate stuff. I know there's a few people that had chimed in earlier today. Some of the support chats, emails that I do, going over, they were asking about symbols lists and things like that. So if any of you are in that crowd, please, 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 on the YouTube chat bar, throw your questions in there. Let me know you're there. What price did I set that line? Zoom in, take a look, get a more accurate look. I never set it to an exact price. No, it looks like I got it at about 639 technically. Yeah, 639 is where I got that. And I like to mention with when it comes to support and resistance lines, what I always say is that poking over it doesn't really mean anything. It's holding for a period of time over it. You can get a whoopsie at any point on any one of these. Whoopsie poked its head. Is it gonna continue to hold? So, um, but like I said, you got a base built off that base, built off that base, built off that base, built off that base. So, and the other things to note are your psychological levels. All right, stocks under $10 are going to trade different than stocks over $10. Every 25 cents is usually a big deal psychologically, and getting and holding over 10 is a huge deal psychologically too. So those are the things that I look at. These are, like I said, everything's a puzzle, and that's the piece of the puzzle that I'm looking at. So starting to look at those patterns. Well, thank you for showing these. Yeah, of course. Are these thoughts on any more related to swing trading or intraday trading? um, I would say that my thoughts on any are neither. The chart pattern gives me kind of a swing trading feel, but these big spikes in price give me a day trading feel. So for that reason, it's not something I'll trade. It's not something I'm willing to commit money to myself. I'm not looking at it in any other way other than that it was mentioned here. Like I said, I like the look of all that. My issue is I really don't look at news. I don't, I don't want the news to influence what I do. I want it to be the charts. And so when I see big moves like that, they make me very hesitant to kind of want to swing anything like that. And especially when it's a lower price stock and where it's come from in that period of time. If we look back here in June, it's sub $2. It's maybe even sub $1 in May, it looks like. So let me pull up any data here. So I have lines that are from a long time ago that are back here. I mean, possibly this thing is even split. Lifetime high 22K. Yeah, exactly. So this thing's even split All right, there we go. That's a little better. So those are things that I'm going to keep in mind, and at the moment, it's nothing I would be committing money to one way or the other, as far as I'm concerned. You could, but you could look at it both ways. How you define risk, if, for example, someone put a gun to my head and made me commit money to this 20-day line here, so this black line that kind of almost looks like steps that I have on my chart, that's a low period of 20 days. It's one of the data points or one of the indicators that I'll use for stops, depending on what I'm doing. That would be my stop if I were to attempt to take a position right now. That would be my stop on a swing trade. Not doing it, but that's just how it would fall into my plan if someone forced me into it. So market not looking good for tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know. There's a saying, pros close the market and so on and so forth. You know, every time someone's called a top in the last 10 years, they've been wrong, and COVID doesn't count. So, I don't call tops, I don't call bottoms. I just know that I'm going to come with every day with my plan. Am I going to be long? Am I going to be short? I'll let the charts decide that for me, and I'll just watch what the market's doing and adjust accordingly. What do we think of IRNT? And I see your question coming in about that indicator there, Baj. So give me a second there. IRNT. I'm guessing this is a new issue. So new issue. Did we? No, it looks like something we must have talked about yesterday. New issue. What kind of stock is it? What are we looking at? Engages in cybersecurity. Yeah, that doesn't mean a whole lot to me. New issue. There's just nothing to really comment on. It's at the low of whatever. It's got a huge trading range. $50 almost up there. We're down at $12 down here. So this thing could whip either way really easily. So what I would say is it's a great day trader. And while the relative volume is only 0.37, meaning it's only doing about a third of what it normally does over a 10-day average, it's still very liquid stock. 3.5 mil shares traded today. So there's definitely liquidity in it. These topping tails and bottoming tails and so on and so forth. Um, I would say it's a good day trading mechanism. You're going to want to use these kind of momentum lines, whatever one you prefer. Whether it's an EMA and SMA on smaller time frame, I would say. Sorry, getting a little data coming in as I always discuss. I have something going on with an automated list that we're testing. So I just want to see that data. And that looks like a healthy day from the list. So, all right. But back to that chart that we were looking at there. I would say you want to look at it as an intraday. Yeah, it's the low period 20 days. So I'll go over that in just a second. How I put that indicator on a chart, and you have the access to do that too. Um, it's nothing there's nothing to say about swing trading or anything like that. Where's it support? Its support is technically zero now. If it starts to fall more, it has to zero to go. There's no support below it. Moving above it, you got a lot of fight to get through. The right here, off this gap down, this all any buying of it has been rejected, has been absolutely rejected. And then the last thing that I'll note here is you got these two MAs. They've crossed down here. There's still pressure. It hasn't even the 8 EMA on the daily hasn't even caught up to it yet. And let's look at it an anchor VWAP from the all-time high there. You know, with these spread out and fanned out like that, that just tells me that right now the bias would be to the lower side long term. But again, it's a new issue, and who knows? Kind of my 2 cents on that. So, all right. So that indicator, this black indicator that I use, and it's shown better. I really like to show it on a SPY chart, is what I like to show it on. And it's almost like looking at steps moving up. All right. So this is a period low of 20 days. All right. And I'm very big into 20-day periods when I'm looking at things. And in order for anybody to get that, we can right click the chart and we're going to go to indicators. And we're going to look for multi-period low. All right, you're going to click multi-period low. In the period, you're going to put 20. You're going to modify your colors. All right, here's where you actually set the color down here. You'll click OK, and you'll add it, and you close, and that's it. And you'll have that same one. And you could do it for a period high too. You could, make a multi-period high, and you could make that period 50, 20, 200, whatever the period is that you want. And that's what it'll show you. So again, I'm take a pause for a sip of water, and questions, please fire them away. Bring them in, bring them in. That's what I'm here for. So, all right, without any questions coming in for the moment, let's move over, look at a few indexes. Start at the top of my list here. I'll bring the list over. So I have a sector list that I like to look at. ETFs represent broader sectors of the market. And a lot of these will be tied to your bigger indexes, your SPYs, your Qs, your RSP, so on and so forth. But KWEB, that's going to be your China internet stocks. All right. And so pretty beat up chart. Moving up, you gotta move up somewhere. You gotta build a base somewhere. So do we say this was a bottom? And we kind of retested the bottom ish. At 20 period low shows that we're technically a little higher than it was right there. Um, your guess being as good as mine. What I'll say is we got this gap up and go today from the KWEB and China internet stocks in general. Um, we started to try to sell off, and then here at the close, we made a move back up into the close. So we definitely held that, and it's a base to build off of. All right, so we'll see how that kind of looks right there in the next coming days. China's one of those hard traders because you never know what they're going to put out for news. Banning crypto this week. Their energy crisis that week. They allow this internet site to come on. They don't allow this one to come on. So China's a hard trader in that sense, but obviously a major global player. Number two economy in the world. But long term, chart's very beat up. A lot of work to get through. We'll zoom in one more time here, actually, just to take a look at these moving averages. So some constructive things that have been done by possibly bottoming out here. It's over the 20. It tagged the 20 on the daily, held it. It closed above the 50. And now you have the 8 EMA on the daily trying to catch that 20 and cross. So those are some momentums to move that side again. Win for the Bulls. However, if we were to roll back over into that gap, that completely erases and then some. I feel like it's not just about erasing the gains of today; it's demoralizing the dip buyers essentially. And how many times can the dip buyers get punished? I don't know. They've been around for a long time, so I'm not going to fight them. That's for sure. FXI, that's going to be your China large cap. All right. So same kind of theme here, but a little more damage has been done on this one. As you can see, it hasn't really found anything we could even discuss as a bottom yet. All right. Now if we can hold here for a few days, that's a different story, but we can just see it continuously makes lows over the last few months. It's still below that 50 quite a bit. Did close above the 20. So that's what China small caps are, excuse me, China large caps are. Uranium, that's one of those tough ones again. But what we can say is uranium made that big move up. Pretty parabolic for an ETF there. We've come down, we've towed this line, we've held it, we've held it, we've held it, and we moved up here again today. Well off over the 50 SMA still, and we want to see it try to get and fight with that 20 SMA tomorrow. And that would be a real big win for the Bears. This isn't in the same sense that if it were to roll a little bit tomorrow, as long as it could hold this line, the Bears won't be getting any win. The Bulls will still be taking it home for the week as far as uranium goes. I have a beeping coming in my ear. Just want to see if there's something I can help with here. All right. All right. So again, if anybody has questions, please fire them in. All right, I see them coming. What is the difference between Anchored VWAP, or excuse me, yeah, anchored VWAP and VWAP. I understand VWAP is not so VWAP just runs through a day. Or, VWAP is a current day, where anchored VWAP I can anchor it to any specific candle I want. All right, so VWAP just continuously runs, where an anchored VWAP on here, we could go like this and we can anchor it to any one of these candles. So let's find something that had a big spike today, something that moved up a lot. Think this might have had something that'll work. Let's take, all right. So we can take a look and we can do an anchored VWAP from the high here on this candle. All right. And so we can see how that purple line moved according to this right here. We can zoom in. All right. And it's anchoring that VWAP from that line that's right there. And that's the difference, instead of starting it from the beginning of the day. And then if you want to get rid of that, just change the chart. That'll bring that back in again. So, um, Chris, is there a way to set a layout to be the default that opens when you start the program? Yes, Dan, whenever you're exit, there's a couple of different ways here. So that's a local save. You're going to go to File, Save Layout. And if you save it as default layout with this underscore that looks like that, that's your layout that'll open every time you enter trade ideas. Okay. So that's just save. Excuse me. Let's do that again. File, Save Layout. All right. Click Save, and that'll do that. Obviously, I don't want to do that because this is not my default layout in this setup, anyways. Um, the other thing is, if you go to Exit Trade Ideas, if you hit close here, all right, and it'll ask if you want to save your layout, that'll save that as your default layout that way as well. Sorry, just caught in a side chat here. All right, glad that helped, Dan. Another thing that I always say here is please, 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 please save everything to the cloud. Right? If your computer melts down tomorrow and you've saved everything to the cloud, uh, when you get your new computer, it's all going to be here. So if you right click any scan or any dock window, you go to Save, Share to Cloud. All right, it saves it to the cloud, and then you can take it one step further, and you can go File, Save or Share to Cloud. We click Entire Layout, and that'll give you the whole layout saved like that too. Go ahead and label that. And that's everything that's there. So again, I'm going to take a pause for a second. Please fire away some questions here for me. If not, we'll dive back into a few more ETFs. All right, don't see any more questions coming in at the moment. So let's dive back into a few ETFs that are here. So XOP, been very, very bullish this since February. Um, and I continue to stay very bullish. When I say very bullish, I just mean the energy sector overall, and especially the exploration of gas, more than anything else, refineries, things of that nature. And we take a long-term picture on it. This is where I got bullish on it, made a move up, we pulled back, we made a move up, we pulled back, we made a move up. But what we can see from here is building bases, higher lows, higher highs, all right, that whole way through. We go back to my favorite pattern. So, albeit some of them are small, especially zoomed out like this, but you have these cup and handles that are forming through here. And so I do believe that we're going to head up in that direction still. These are mostly the stocks that I've been trading are related to the XOP lately. And that's kind of where I am holding the line. The same with some of the banks. I just want to get a more zoomed in view of this once again here too, to give you a better view of what I'm seeing on this chart here. And, just these beautiful moves here like this. All right. So that's what I'm seeing. Love to see it get through that tomorrow. And it's been a long time since it's been at these levels. All right. So zoom back out on the big, 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 big picture again. And while overall oil and gas has been decimated for a decade or so, way of the world, green energy, so on and so forth, wind and solar, and all these things that are coming. XOP has really broken out over the last year. This is COVID right there. All right. And the move after COVID. All right. So, going way back here to 2015 on this weekly chart, all right, we can see that we're starting to really make some headway here as far as these stocks go. And regardless of what anybody thinks or feels or anything like that, we still need, and on the weekly chart, beautiful cup and handle on the weekly chart there. We still need fossil fuels at this moment. That's all there is to it. Not here to talk about right, wrong, or indifferent, but 90% of cars out there are still running on that, running on these things. Homes are heated with natural gas and heating fuel mostly. That's just the way it is. Transfers are happening. They don't happen overnight, and just hope all good things for everybody. So, but XOP, very big into the XOP. OIL, USO, no real reason to look at those, I don't think. But we'll go the opposite way. Clean energy. All right, what goes up must come down. That's quite a run here on the clean energy on that weekly chart. We come back down. All right, so kind of a wedge, if you will, that we've drawn there. I didn't do that intentionally, just kind of what happened. And we can see some defined lines on these clean energy plays. So now we start to ask ourselves, let's break this down into a daily chart. There we go. Where are we headed on this daily chart? And right now, clean energy to me still looks a little bit under pressure. Continues to slope down, continues to make newer lows, making another new 20-day period low here, coinciding with what happened back there. And it looks like every time since this top, it tries to get back up, it gets sold. Tried to get up, got sold. Tried to get up, got sold. Tried to get up, got sold. Really tried to get up, got sold. And just now it's kind of just bleeding at this point. So, um, clean energy funds, doing the opposite of what the oil is doing. And, I don't think that's a happy accident that happened like that. I think those two coincide just perfectly, just that way. And that's what the market is telling us with those things. So, again, we're at 4:12. I will be out of here promptly at 4:30 today. So again, please fire away any questions that you have. All right. And sorry, just following another chat here. So let's look at TAN. And TAN, no happy coincidence there that it looks like the PBW. All right. Same thing again here. We had this really huge run up. All right. And every single time that the crowd has tried to buy solars again, they've been beat up every single time. All right. So to me, at the moment, might have a date with I don't know, 61, $62 on the solars there. It looks like. Take a look at what that level is. Yeah, no, I'm wrong. Maybe around the 66 level or so that we have a date for that. And we'll see from there. But that's what the solars look like to me. Retail, uh, range bound, very long time. Starting to kind of curl down a little bit. One of these tough things though, because as we come into the Christmas season, we're gonna have a big Christmas selling season. Are we gonna have supply chain problems that we can't buy the things we want? We'll see. But that's range bound for a long, 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 long time. So chop, chop, chop on that for retail. Lithium ion. and don't see any questions coming in still, and my crowd is dwindling. I see the same thing with lithium ion as everything else, kind of starting to try to curl down on us here, but not as bad, I would say, as the PBW or the TAN is. Holding near those all-time highs a lot better than those were, and with good reason. EVs continue to move up. We're not powering cars by solar power. We're not powering cars with wind, but we are powering them with batteries, more and more. And so lithium ion is a great way to play any of your EV stocks without getting involved in some of those EV stocks. There's a lot of speculation, Solo, NIO, any of those stocks like that. You never know what they're going to be coming out with. Are they making sales? Are they not making sales? Is someone going to buy them? Is someone not going to buy them? You don't have to get involved in some of those names. You can play the lithium ion game. Your big players in the world, your Fords, your Chevys, they're not going anywhere. They're entering the EV space very aggressively. And so lithium ion is what I consider to be a better and safer way to play that. Look at a couple of charts that relate to that. Sorry, missing typing. So this is one that I've been playing on and off. I almost took a position in it today. That big bar stopped me. I did not want to chase that with these averages way off. There's a few times I thought I was going to enter it. I didn't. I'm kind of selling off at the end of the day like everything else. So that's one lithium ion stock that you can play that's been a big player so far as trading goes. We can look at LIT. No, I'm sorry, LAC. Same thing. This was something that I was looking at, almost bought, but again, very similar. I didn't even have to change any of my drawings there, and it found itself right basically into those. So those two kind of trading in tandem. Overall, I love this base. I'd love to see it make a base like this here. But for now, I'm going to either let it consolidate and decide if I want to near one of these tops again, or near one of these, what I consider pivot, what are forming as pivot lines right now, decide to get in, or is it going to roll over on us? But wouldn't jump in on these candles this morning and these gap ups, and got rules and I obey them as far as the trading goes. Do you use any indicators? If so, your favorites? Yeah. So Vin, I like to keep my charts as clean as possible. On intraday charts, there's only two indicators. I have an 8 EMA that's red. I got 20 SMA that is blue. On my daily charts, I have four indicators. I'm probably going to drop the 50 SMA from it soon. Also, I just don't need it. But this green one's a 50 SMA. This black one that looks like that is a period low of 20 days. So every time a new 20-day low is made, that's when you'll see this make an adjustment. And then again, red for the 8 EMA, blue for the 20 SMA. And those are the ones that I like. Those are my favorites. That's what I like. There's nothing magic to them. Just happens to be what I like is all. There we go. So, and again, a couple minutes left here. So please fire away some questions for me. As I mentioned, I can drone on and on and on, no problem. All right, sorry, just following an internal chat. Someone was upset that we no longer have the delayed version of this, but we haven't had that for a very, very long time because the data changes with the people that provided those free delayed data, not providing them the way they used to. So, we liked having it, but we can't control what we can't control, unfortunately. So, all right, let's continue to move along here. Emerging markets, take a look at those. Very similar to China. The large caps, well below the 50, run right smack into the 20. So now we're sandwiched in between those two. Obviously, bulls, they're going to want to build on this. Bears, and like I said, a little down is a lot bigger of a deal for the Bears winning than a little up is a bigger deal for the Bulls winning. That's what I see on the emerging markets there. Let's zoom back out and just get a bigger picture. And so, yeah, just very, very under pressure. Very, very under pressure. line some things up here. So that breakout level, and we're actually just taking out that breakout level now. So below there, your next line you can argue is maybe somewhere in here. All right, so those are kind of your lines that you're looking at right there as far as the emerging markets go. So if those are stocks that you're looking at, you're trading, biased is to the lower side as far as I can see it in that chart. And SLX, you got your steel plays. These are a tough one. You know, got infrastructure coming, but how much infrastructure is going to be actually building things? Your guess is as good as mine. Back here, I got very bullish the Steelies. Played some of them, didn't do so well on them, unfortunately. It was just the way of the world that it went for me. I saw the pattern, I played the pattern. Pattern didn't work out. It was false breakout, and that's the way that kind of worked. And it's rolled over, and to me, it still looks lower at this point. Also, kind of coincides with buy the rumor, sell the news. So, whatever that package is, I don't know if I honestly, I don't even know if anything is actually passed, but I think it's a foreblown conclusion that something's going to get passed. What that means for bridges and roads, your guess being as good as mine, because they'll probably make a 6,000 page bill that nobody on this planet will read, except for people that want I gotcha moment. So that's kind of the way that's going to look. And on a float, short float meaning. Um, so let's pull up something that's going to have a float and short float. Float essentially is how many shares are available on the market to be traded, not shares out, not how many shares are actually issued. All right. So right now there's 71 million according to our data provider, or 71.9 million shares in the float for SLCA, and that's what there is to trade. Um, Short float is the percent of what's out here that's being bet on to fall, essentially. How much of this float, how much percent of that float is actually short right now, or how many shares are short, borrowed, however you want to call that. Um, and that's basically what that means. And you can think of it like this. This is stolen from Barry as far as describing the float. The smaller the float, the lower the float. Think of smaller boats in the ocean. They can whip around real fast, change direction anytime they want. When you've got those, 10 mil in the float under, those things can move real fast out of nowhere, give a real pop up, real elevator shaft empty down. Um, when you start to get, into the hundreds of millions of shares, now you're looking at your bigger cruise ships, a little harder to turn, or maybe your big yachts are harder to turn out in that sea. They take a little more time to get moving. You start to move up into high hundred millions or billions of shares. And you're talking about your tankers, all different sizes, obviously, and this is the way I compare it, anyways. It takes a long time to get those things going and moving. That's not to say that stocks with a huge float can't move very fast. Um, when you have things that have a big interest in them, big institutions trading them constantly, something like the PLTR, for example. All right, we're going to see a little over 1 billion in the float. But if you watch the time and sales for this, you watch the range on this, you got a lot of big institutions trading a lot of shares at once. These aren't people that are trading 1 and 2 and 300 shares at once. These are people buying, tens of thousands of blocks all at once. So that's that's what you've got with float as far as that goes. But so this is an example of a large float stock that can really move, where I'll give you an example of a large float stock that doesn't do so much movement with Ford. All right, we look at the ranges of Ford, we look at the ranges of PLTR, not even close. PLTR had probably a $15 range on that chart. Even though we're going back a bit ways, this does not have nearly that kind of range on it like that. So especially over a period of time. And that's kind of how float works. Um, and then there's also short growth, and short growth is essentially, it is, are we growing? Is a short float growing, or is a short float sinking? So we can see that, for Ford, for example, since the last time data has been reported, you've got 11% moving up in the short float. So I'm glad that helped you. And most of that's pirated from Barry. So he explains it well. Always enjoyed that. So we got Melissa. Something popped up on my phone. I don't really know how. I got the invite. Chats are small, so I want to watch on my computer that couldn't find the YouTube channel. All right. So Melissa, you are gonna want to come to this here. You can bookmark this. For anybody that's here and does not know, dropping the link now. For anyone that does not know, this live stream starts every single day at 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Barry runs it as a trading room all day long. All right. At 12, he gives up the stream on the YouTube side for an hour Q&A, something similar to this. And then he shuts down at 3 o'clock completely. These are all Eastern times. And at 3:30 Eastern, I pick the stream back up after it's been shut down for half an hour, and I do this. My point here is, I'm trying to do a live Q&A to get more people education of the software itself. But if people aren't asking questions, I'm just going to make up content as I go and hopefully keep people engaged and sticking around to watch. Sorry, Bosh. I saw you asked Target. I'm guessing that was with any. To fly back there if you're still here. If I were to look at a target for any, there's no target. I would probably just say just manage that trade on the way up if I was successful with it. It's hard to gauge, you know, what that target is. But if I was up, 1, 2%, I'd probably start shedding shares along the way. I don't have a hard defined target usually, to be honest. I look at what might be some resistance lines on the way up, but this has so much resistance that it'd be even hard to judge in that sense. So if I started to move up, I'd probably, sell quarter lot, hang around for a few minutes, sell another quarter lot, so on and so forth, as far as that goes for managing that. I can be hard to find on YouTube. Odd. If you come to our channel though, so bookmark our channel even. And you could probably even set an alert through YouTube to when we go live, when we're live. I think there's alerts like that. So copy link address, copy and paste. So that's our YouTube channel. So subscribe to, anybody here, subscribe to the channel, set your notifications for when we're going live. It's all right there for you for sure. And if we're live on it, you're gonna see us being live for sure on that. Sorry, just peeling back through here to look if there's anything. Why some stocks wait for PM to make a move? PD right now. Vin, mostly when stocks make a move in the post market, it's going to be news related somehow. Almost always news related or earnings. It'll be both of those. So let's see PED. Take a look here. What's happening? Do we have any news with PED? No, no news. Earnings date November 15th. Nothing doing there. All right. So this had news earlier today. I'm sorry. Yeah, they announced an offering, a direct offering. All right. So that's what happened here, and that's why this is going crazy today. So PED announced a direct offering, and if you're asking how I got that, it's through my IB news feed. I can't show you that because my account data is on there, and can't be putting that on the live stream. So that's where that is. So that's why PED made that move there for you, Then it's always going to be news related, whether the news is early or late. That'll be that. Went over, dropped some links to make sure you guys are getting in here. So that's everything. All right, so we're at the mid hour here on this. I do have to wrap up and run out of here today. Unfortunately, I was planning to stick around for a little overtime, but life got in the way, unfortunately. So, like I said, if anybody that's here now, I'm doing this every day at 3:30, Monday through Friday. I'm trying to make it more of an open questions and answers format. And at 4 o'clock, I'm going to start to bring in Mr. Steve Gomez, maybe a few days a week, let him do his real expert analysis on the market. What I kind of ran through. He does that 10 times better than I do. Where I got everything that I do from a technical analysis wise, almost all of it is from him. You're welcome, Town. Thank you. I really appreciate you being in here daily and, chiming in and keeping engaged. I appreciate everything. coming in from the crowd, and you're one of them. I really, really thank you very much for being in here like that. So again, 3:30 every day. I drop the links in here both for the channel. Subscribe to the channel, please, please, please subscribe to our channel. Um, like I said, the live broadcast starts at 9 o'clock every day. Barry is unbelievable. If you like what I'm doing, you'll love what Barry's doing. Nobody's better than him. And again, I thank everybody for the engagements today, and hopefully I'll see you all back here at 3:30 tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.